My boss publicly called me antisocial, warned me my job was at risk, all because I refused to drink with him after work. 20 minutes later, I sent one polite email, and from that moment on, he drank alone. This is one of those revenge stories where nobody yells, nobody threatens, and yet the power shifts instantly. If you've ever had a boss abuse power, cross boundaries, or try to control your life outside work, you're going to love this. Hit like, subscribe, and settle in, because this is one of the cleanest, pettiest, most satisfying workplace revenge stories you'll ever hear. I worked in a large office. Corporate. Cubicles. Fluorescent lights that hummed just loud enough to remind you where you were. About 30 people on the team. Deadlines, spreadsheets, performance metrics, the usual grind. And then one day, management made a decision that instantly poisoned the atmosphere. They promoted him. An entry-level guy. Less than a year at the company. No leadership experience. No qualifications. No business being in charge of anyone. HR rules explicitly said he wasn't even allowed to apply. But somehow, he became a team lead. Not because he was good. Not because he was respected. But because he was a professional suck-up. The kind of guy who laughed too loud at the manager's jokes. Who nodded aggressively in meetings. Who volunteered for visibility, not value. Meanwhile, fully qualified employees, people with spotless records, years of experience, actual leadership ability, were passed over. Grievances were filed. Multiple ones. Detailed. Documented. HR quietly dropped every single one. And just like that, resentment settled in. Before the promotion, people tolerated him. After it, he was despised. You could feel it in the room. Conversations stopped when he walked by. Forced smiles. Tight shoulders. That collective discomfort when someone with no authority tries to wield it anyway. Middle management noticed. They pulled him aside and told him the truth, in corporate language, of course. You need to improve morale. You need people to like you. So he did what insecure people always do when given power. He tried to force connection. He announced monthly, happy hours. Not mandatory, of course. Just. Not required, but required. After work. Unpaid. At a bar. And suddenly, people panicked. Parents scrambling to find babysitters. Employees with hour-long commutes doing mental math. People quietly terrified that if they didn't show up, their careers would stall. Because when a boss says something isn't required, but implies consequences, it stops being optional. I watched it happen. The stress. The whispered conversations. And I knew immediately. I wasn't even technically under this guy. And more importantly, I knew my rights. So when the invite came, I declined. Politely. Calmly. Final. That didn't sit well with him. He stopped by my cube. Once. Twice. Again on the day of the event. Hovering. Smiling too tightly. Pressuring without technically pressuring. I looked up at him and said what I'd already decided. I'm not spending my free time at work events. If you want me there, keep me on the clock. Otherwise, you can't require it. His face stiffened. He didn't argue. Didn't debate. Just walked away, angry. The kind of angry people get when they realize they can't control you. The next morning was awkward. Everyone came in pretending they'd had fun. Laughing a little too hard. Avoiding eye contact. You could tell they'd spent the evening dodging his attempts at forced bonding. At around 10, we had our daily stand-up. He beamed. Talked about how great it was. How important team bonding is. Then, he looked directly at me. And that's when he crossed the line. In front of everyone. Some people here are antisocial, he said. Management notices when people aren't team players. Skipping required events sends a message. The room went silent. My chest tightened. Not from fear, from clarity. Because now, he'd made it public. And he'd made a mistake. I smiled. Inside my head, I thought. Okay. Let's do this properly. 20 minutes later, I sent an email. To the entire team. Friendly tone. Calm language. No accusations. Just information. Hey everyone. A few people asked me about after-hours events that are described as required but unpaid. I figured I'd share this with the whole team. Then I cited the state statute. Clear. Undeniable. Hourly employees cannot be required to attend unpaid work events. No consequences allowed. No pressure. No retaliation. So if anyone can't make it due to family, commute, or personal reasons, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. That was it. No insults. No drama. Just facts. I hit send. And the power shifted instantly. You could feel it. People leaned back in their chairs. Exhaled. Started whispering, but this time, with relief. The next happy hour? Almost nobody showed. The one after that? Even fewer. I heard later that the team lead sat alone at the bar. Nursing a drink. Refreshing his phone. No forced laughter. No sycophants. Just silence. Eventually, the happy hours quietly disappeared. He never brought them up again. And he never singled me out again either. The best part? I didn't yell. Didn't threaten. Didn't complain. I didn't even confront him directly. I simply removed his leverage. And once people realized they were protected, his authority evaporated. No fear. No obligation. No audience. Just a man who tried to force respect. And learned that real power doesn't come from titles, it comes from consent. The funniest thing about power is how fragile it is. The moment people stop being afraid, it's gone. And sometimes, the cleanest revenge isn't loud, it's knowing the rules better than the person trying to break them. If this story made you smile, hit that like button. Comment below, have you ever watched someone lose power the moment people stopped playing along? And subscribe for more brutally satisfying revenge stories, because justice doesn't always scream, sometimes it just clicks send.